Well, good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection, and how good it is to begin this day again with you. And today we continue to look at the work of Ruth Haley Barton and consider what it means to wake up to the darkness within. And we begin this morning then by reading Psalm 139, verses 19 to 22. If only you, God, would slay the wicked. Away from me, you who are bloodthirsty. They speak of you with evil intent. Your adversaries misuse your name. Do I not hate those who hate you, Lord, and abhor those who are in rebellion against you? I have nothing but hatred for them. I count them my enemies. Here, David expresses emotions of righteous anger and hatred towards God's enemies in ways that were probably very common at that time for God-fearing Jews. But sometimes it is easy to dismiss these words. And when we do this, we miss the point. David was a man in the process of transformation. Throughout the psalm, he is crying out for deeper levels of intimacy with God. And the transformation that this deeper level of intimacy would bring about in his own life. More than any other character in the Bible, David's life illustrates the self-examination process. This process begins with being in a place where we lack a sense of awareness, an awareness of who we are, an awareness of how others see us, an awareness of how God sees us. And we move from this lack of awareness to a place of growing self-awareness, an awareness of the things that might affect us, or the way in which we habitually respond to things. So we move then to this place of self-awareness. And with increasing self-awareness, we come to see what we need to confess, what we need to bring to God, and to admit that these are the things. I see them. I see the dark side of me. I see what lurks in my shadow. And to ask for forgiveness, to realize that you and I both have a need to be forgiven. How often do we come to God and ask for forgiveness? And forgiveness leads to a deep sense of cleansing, of being renewed, of beginning again. And then coming to a place of real life change. And that is, in fact, the process of transformation. And so David's life illustrates this process. And he's able to undergo this process because he knows that he is secure in God, that he has been formed in God, and so is able to let his darker elements, those darker parts of him, emerge in God's presence. So he's confident that he will find God's presence even in the darkest places of his life. He's confident about the fact that the light of God can penetrate even the darkest night. And this confidence is crucial because it applies not only to the dark places, but also, more importantly, to the darkness within his own soul, to the dark places within my soul and within your soul. That God's light shines into those places. And then we have David with a certainty that the person God created him to be is deeply good. And this certainty has become the bedrock of his identity. He is able to let the parts of himself that are confusing, even to himself, he's willing to let those come out into the light of God's presence, so that God can show him what is good and what is evil. And his basic identity is so secure that he's able to risk allowing all facets of himself to be seen without fear. Without fear of God abandoning him, or fear of losing himself. In a rush of self-disclosure, he pours out his heart, his thoughts, and his feelings, and he invites God in to help him sort them out. Whether these are feelings that all devout Jews feel or not, and whether they are justified or not, David is saying, I really do not know what is good and what is evil within me. And we read then in Psalm 139, Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. It seems in our modern lives that human beings abandoning each other is quite normal. We long for, and in our heads we can acknowledge that there is a possibility of deep love and faithfulness. And all of us have had normal experiences of abandonment. Friends who break friendships with us. People who decide they no longer wish to employ us. But there are deeper abandonments that have the capacity to embed themselves in us so deeply that they shape our ability to trust ourselves, to love God. If we at our core fear we will be abandoned because something is wrong with us, it will be difficult to give ourselves to God's penetrating gaze. But if we are certain of God's steadfast love, and we are anchored in the basic goodness of our created selves, we really have nothing to lose and everything to gain by inviting God to search us to our very depths. Amen.